Welcome to the Married Moto Podcast.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to episode 3 of Married Moto Podcast. Over the last 10 days, we've had so much love and support on all of our social media pages. We're up to about 600 followers on Facebook, which is amazing, and about 1 million views across all of our platforms. And we just want to say thank you. So let's jump right in. Thunder Valley, round number 3 was full of all kinds of craziness. So let's just start here. Jett Lawrence, once again, Big Daddy number 11 is back in town. The king is back. What do you think, honey?
There's no doubting Jett Lawrence. I think a little bit, when we first started this podcast, we had a little bit of doubts about Jett.
Everybody did.
Well, I think everyone did. I think there were a lot of rumors going around that he wasn't going to perform as much as the team said he was going to. The injury that he had is pretty severe. And to see him do what he did these past 2 rounds have been absolutely amazing. So, just to sum it up, the GOAT. That's all I got to say.
Right now, he's just a baby lamb, but I think he will be the GOAT at some point. Only because I'm just talking about what he's done versus what others have done. He's got a little bit of time. But, okay. I think what they said on the broadcast, he's won like 26 of 30 rounds or 26 of 29 rounds.
Yeah.
Whatever it was that he's competed in.
Yeah.
He's been on top. And it's amazing to see that, because I remember watching when I was younger, the James Stewarts, the Ricky Carmichaels, growing up in this sport. My dad was a big part of my interest in motocross. And I remember in the early 2000s watching all these amazing dudes just rip a dirt bike. And now we watch all those guys that were ripping back then talk about how amazing Jett is. So what's amazing to me is watching Jett just perform under the most intense pressure. He had Deegan and he had his brother right behind him. And Jett didn't miss a mark. He didn't miss a line. He just kept plowing forward, and it was just smooth. And even what's crazy about Jett Lawrence is that, a lot of people call him a freak of nature on a dirt bike, but he is, when you watch him ride, the way he flows through the track, even though he said he didn't flow that well, when you watch him ride, it just looks like poetry in motion. And when the others got behind him, he just kept riding his race, doing his thing. And I think what's so incredible is that at his 75-80%, he still went the last 4 motos perfect.
I think that the advantage that Jett has is he focuses on his own race. I don't think he really thinks about, I got Haiden behind me, I got my brother behind me. He may think about it, but he's not focused on that. He's focused on his race and what's in front of him. A comment that Haiden made, which was really funny, he said that Jett kept looking back, every lap. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that Jett was being very proactive in his riding.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's looking back, he's not like, I'm worried, I'm scared. He's like, okay, he's right there. I'm going to take that line. I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to go here. I got to do this. So I don't necessarily think that was a bad thing that Jett was doing that. That's just the way he's always rode. And so when Jett gets the lead, which we've seen most of his career outdoors, that he knows exactly what to do when he gets out front. So,
yeah, and I think to that point, when it comes to Deegan and it comes to Hunter, those are the only 2 riders that's been behind him really all season, even though we're only 3 rounds in. I know Lucas Coonan was there first and second moto,
Yeah.
He went 2-2 on the day. But the difference is, and why I think Jett was looking back, is probably for the first time in Jett's career, he's had a guy behind him that he has to worry about. He doesn't have to worry about Hunter, not in the fact that he won't pass him, but that he won't pass him the way Haiden wants to pass him.
Yeah.
He's
that
never
makes
had
sense.
that guy that could run that pace, even in that moment, that could make the pass in such a way that would put him in a precarious situation to make him have to react in a way he may not want to, especially with the way his foot is feeling right now. And he's playing it off like it's feeling better, and it may be, and we're praying that it does. But when you have Haiden behind you versus when you have Hunter,
He doesn't know him yet as a rider.
Right.
So he doesn't know how he's going to pass him. He doesn't know if it's going to be clean.
Right.
He doesn't know if it's going to be dirty. So I think that's a great point that you're making, that he doesn't know yet. So he's, trying to study that. So,
and I think Haiden, he has a lot of respect for both of those guys at the top of the class, because he knows, because of how good he is, just how hard it is to get to their level. But we watched it the last couple weekends. He made a pass, or tried to make a pass on Hunter, bumped him out of the way. This past weekend, Hunter bumped him back.
yeah.
Like, they're playing this game. The problem is Jett and Hunter have never ridden that way. They're talented enough on a bike to be protective and to make defensive line changes, but they've never raced a guy like Deegan, who at the end of the day only wants to win, and he'll do whatever he wants to try and win,
Right.
whatever he has to. So I think part of what startled Jett, if you go back and you look at that actual clip, Hunter had been behind Jett that whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter made a mistake. Deegan passed Hunter. And Jett, when that happened, he knew somebody different was behind Hunter, because, like we've always talked about, Hunter and Jett ride together every single day. So he knows, in whatever situation it might be, what Hunter's bike sounds like. And when he heard a Yamaha 450 rev to the moon, he knew that wasn't Hunter. So he looked back trying to catch, who that might be, and it was Deegan. And that's when he closed his lines off. He started riding a certain kind of way.
Right.
But it was a really incredible first moto. Second moto was a little different. He just kind of pulled the whole shot and he was gone. Nobody could really run with him. And at the very end, I mean, he talked about on the podium how he couldn't flow that well.
You could totally tell the difference between the first moto and the second moto.
For sure.
He wasn't as open, I feel like, with his lines. I mean, with Deegan right behind him, it kind of makes sense. But you could just tell he wasn't as smooth the way that we're used to seeing Jett. So second moto, when we saw him riding, we were like, oh, yeah, what a difference. Yeah, we were like, what a difference.
What a difference it was. And it was amazing to watch, because he was on it. And I want to take us to one specific moment in that first moto, because Hunter was still really close. Hunter went to pass Jett on the uphill start. And he actually was ahead of him at one point. And Jett just put the hammer down, full gas. And that told me right there, he's ready to play. Because he wouldn't have held it on as long and as hard if he wasn't willing to go and win that moto. And so we just want to shout out, the King is back. And a lot of people got a lot to prove and a lot to do. Number 18, look at that up there. A lot of people got a lot to prove and some work to put in to even get close to him. And
that brings us to our next rider we want to talk about,
which is his older brother. And I think what's so funny about this is, subconsciously, that Hunter, who went, because of the penalty, he went 4-3. No, he went 4-4 on the day. Deegan went 11-3 on the day, so that booted him off. But I think that first round, subconsciously, Hunter had a false sense of reality of what the season was going to look like. Even though he loves his brother, he wants his brother to do well and be successful. But we remember a interview that he had, and that was like the nicest stuff he had ever said about Jett.
Mm.
And then after Hangtown, the nice stuff stopped.
Faded away a little bit.
Because I know he wants to beat him. Because if he beats Jett, he doesn't just beat his brother. He beats the best in the entire world.
Yeah.
And playing second fiddle.
Lucas Coonan said it himself. He said that's the best rider in the world. I mean.
And he is. I mean, nobody can dispute that because nobody can beat him consistently.
Yeah, what a title to have.
And so for Hunter, you know, he gets to ride with him every day. He gets to encourage him. He gets to be right there. But those little intangibles, it's the things like, hey, I'm not that comfortable. My foot hurts, but I'm going to change the way I ride for this moto so that I can win. I think Hunter's a little bit more conservative, which is why even the first race of the year, he was worlds apart of Deegan and Jett. But I think, honestly, I'm watching Hunter come back closer to the rest of the pack, especially as Deegan progresses every single race, every single moto. He's coming closer and closer. They're fighting now. They're making mistakes together. Jett's still out front. But honestly, all in all, Hunter is world class. He's at, top of the field, top 3. I think he's the second best rider right now in pro motocross. But if he wants to beat Jett for the title, I mean, it's now or never, honestly. If he lets Jett get on a run, and statistically, when you see a rider like Jett Lawrence or Eli Tomac or Ryan Villapoto or Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart get on a roll outdoors, and they just go up to the line, they know they're going to win. And it's just like with Haiden, if they let him get a moto, if they let him go 1-1 one weekend, they're in trouble. It's a game of confidence. It's a game of chess. And Hunter's doing an amazing job. He's a great rider. But I think that he's got some work to do, and he's got to stop playing these games with Deegan, because Deegan and him are more on the same level now than Jett is, because Jett is proven that he's just going to be out front. He's going to do his thing. His starts are perfect. And I think Deegan is playing with Hunter a little bit, and that's messing Hunter up, because Deegan was on the inside when Hunter messed up. He wasn't even in front of him. Hunter messed up. Deegan went through the inside and jumped on, Jett's back wheel, and that's when Jett looked back. Hunter's got some work to do if he wants to stay on the back wheel of Jett as Jett gets better. So what do you think?
I think that when Jett's out front, he sets the pace. And it's noticeable that the guys that are trying to follow him and keep up Jett's pace, they make mistakes. You see it you saw it with both Deegan and Hunter. And I just think that it's a little funny that Hunter saw the line that Deegan was taking and he took it.
Which we'll get to that in a minute. But
we will get to that in a minute, but I think that kind of speaks volumes right there. I mean, Hunter's a very smart rider. He's very, very smart. And so is Deegan. I'm not saying he's not. I mean, but this is also a new class for him. And I think the adrenaline is kind of getting to his head a little bit. So he's making these kind of mistakes. Hunter-wise, he's already past that. That's not a problem for him. But to see Deegan take that line and for Hunter to follow that, I think that's funny. I think that just seeing like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try to get that speed, because he saw Deegan catching up to Jett, and Hunter was kind of losing pace a little bit. So I think that was the reason why he started taking that line. Was it for 2 laps? I think it was for 2 laps. I don't know, 1 or 2. But anyways, I just think that the pace that Jett sets the riders following him up for for a moto ahead of them, a long moto. So yeah, I do agree with you that Hunter's got to work on making passes early. He's got to do that because then he can start setting the pace and he can start being defensive in his lines up front. That's what he needs to work on because he's there. Like, it's not like he's not there. I mean, what was it, the first moto or the second moto? I can't remember. First moto. He was literally behind Jett for most of it and just couldn't pass him. And that's what Hunter needs to work on, is being aggressive early on and getting those passes early, because I think he's realizing he can't make late race passes. It just doesn't work. He's got to do it early on. So
Hunter, I think for me, he's so comfortable riding at that 93 to 95%.
Mm-hmm.
But Jett's comfortable going 95%, and when he has to turn it up a little bit,
he does.
Even if he's uncomfortable, his natural kind of God-given talent allows him to navigate some of those moments that might be a little sketchy. Because how many times do we watch him in a moto and Jett goes, yeah, I got a little sketchy on this and this and that, and we're like, it didn't look sketchy to us.
Right.
But for him, it did. But his
Definitely
ability
does.
to react, and I think his body type helps a little bit. Hunter's got a more similar body type to Haiden.
Yeah.
A little shorter. Jett's got a longer body type. He can kind of navigate, even like a Levi Kitchen. Watching him in the 250 class, they're a little lanky. Chase Sexton, those body types allow you to make adjustments on the bike that keep you from making bad decisions that put you in bad situations. So
that makes sense.
But I do think with Hunter, his consistency keeps him in the fight.
Yep.
And I think he's kind of probably banking a little bit on Jett having a similar moto or two like he did at Pala.
Yeah.
Even though he's went 4 straight motos, 1-1-1-1. I think he's banking a little bit on that, and that's where he's going to capitalize, because he knows if Jett has a really bad moto, then there's a couple guys who can run that pace in between them for the championship. It'd be Deegan, it'd be Prado.
Mm-hmm.
And, who knows? But Hunter's doing a great job. He's just got to stay in the fight. And he's got to try his best to get a jump on Jett on the start. Because if he doesn't, especially on these tracks that we got coming up, it's going to be really tough on him. And I would say for Jett Lawrence, he scared everybody this weekend, like the whole class, because he had just talked about how Hangtown was a little easier on his foot. There's not as many ruts and all of that. And then he goes to Thunder Valley where the whole track is a rut.
The whole track
it's
is
just one long rut. And he demolished everybody. But another guy who looks a lot similar to him, looks a lot like him on a motorcycle, being Lucas Coonan, who's great in the ruts too, obviously. And so, I think they're in for it for the next 2 or 3 rounds. But if they let Jett continue to go 1-1, 1-1, 1-1 like that, even a 2-1, like, they're going to have a problem going into the last half of this season, because they only get 11 rounds. We're 3 rounds in at this point. We're going into round 4. And it's going to be... Jett's got
the red plate now.
He's got the red plate.
And Deegan has lost some
He's
points.
about 25 points down.
It's not crazy, but, I mean, definitely a loss, which brings us into our next rider.
Yeah, and, Jett's got the red plate now. He took it from Hunter this past weekend going into this next round. And, Hayden's back 25 points or so. So let's just jump into him right now, because, he didn't get third on the day, but he was the third best rider for sure. Third or fourth, depending on how you look at it, between Jett, Lucas Coonan, Hunter, and himself. He did get third in that second moto, which was fun to watch. But honestly, he's been playing Mr. Nice Guy for the last 3 weeks or so. Going into Pala, he had some chirping going on, but he got a little bit humbled the last couple of weeks. But coming into this weekend, he knew he was close. And every weekend, he's just getting closer and closer and closer. And so that first moto, when he got a good start and he was running up there with him, if you go back and watch the race, he was actually gaining on both of them. And that's why he
Yeah.
caught him so quick. And he took it down from about 3 seconds to about 1. Hunter made a mistake, and Haiden went on the inside of that, and jumped in right behind Jett, and that's when Jett started to look over.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, they absolutely, talking about the Lawrence brothers, they absolutely don't want to say Hayden's name.
And he said, "What's his name?"
They don't want to say it so
in
badly.
the press conference. He was like, and we know what's his name is predictable. I don't remember what he said. Just something along those lines. But I thought that was
It was so funny.
I thought that was funny.
Because, they need to be careful with that, honestly.
I
I know they
agree.
don't want to talk about him, but
Yeah.
all they're doing is just ticking him all the way off.
They're going to have to say his name at some point, and I think them not saying his name is only setting them up for for when they have to say his name. It's just going to be a big thing. Like, oh my gosh, like they finally said his name. It's like, might as well get it over with and just say it now. Just act like you don't care. Them kind of not saying his name is just fueling the fire a little bit more. So, but it makes it, it makes it more funny. So I don't disagree with it. I just think it's funny.
Because here's what's going to happen. At some point this year, the likelihood of Haiden getting an overall win is extremely high.
I agree with that. I don't think it's not possible. I'm not saying that, the way that Jett and Hunter are both performing is hard to beat, but I'm not saying Haiden can't do it. I think there's going to be a few races where they're going to have a big battle. So
here's the problem with that. Deegan is going to win one round. Yeah. And he's going to win an overall.
I can see that happening. At least a moto. I can see him winning a moto.
I see him. He will win an overall this year. And the problem for the rest of the boys, specifically Jett and Hunter Lawrence, is that they're going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 races in when that happens. Mm-hmm. They're going to be at their peak in their prime. See, if Deegan would have beat him the last 2 or 3 rounds, the sport's like, oh, Jett's injured, whatever, like all of that. Right. But Jett is annihilating the entire field. And so when Haiden does beat him, when he beats both of them, and they go Deegan, Lawrence, Deegan, Jett, Hunter, the whole sport is going to erupt because they're going to be like, he's finally arrived. And I'm just telling everybody who's watching, if you don't think that Deegan's going to show up at some round and just be absolutely gangbusters on the wall, holding it down, hanging it out, y'all are crazy, because he has blood in the water. He tasted it this weekend more than he ever has. If he doesn't go down behind Jett and he somehow passes Jett, that level of focus and intentionality pushes him to win that moto. Yeah. Or at least give Jett the biggest fight he's ever had. Because like we talked about earlier, Jett don't know how to ride Haiden yet. Right. The only person who has any kind of inclination is Hunter, because they raced in the 250 class. Right. And you're seeing them now. Just the fact that Hunter was willing to run it in on Haiden and bump him out of the way like Haiden tried to do last week. I was freaking out
when that happened. I was like, oh.
Like, that's like, that was funny. If you look back to Hangtown, what did Hunter do? Hunter just waited, made the pass, and then Deegan tried to do it. But this weekend, Hunter waited, couldn't pass, and then had to try to make something happen. He makes it happen, and then he rides the next 2 or 3 laps with Deegan just whiskey throttle on that thing as high as he can go. And what happens behind him? Yet Hunter broke him a little bit, couple seconds, but then Hunter was pushing so hard at the end of the race, he goes down. And, you can't make those mistakes with guys like Jett and Haiden.
You can't. It was such a statement pass, and then to go and do that, up ahead. It was like,
and you saw him
that was
when he
a
crashed and he
little.
picked his bike up in that corner. He goes,
He was
"Ah!"
upset because it was
He's
such
not
a good
happy.
pass. I mean, it was a statement pass. I respected
was.
it. I loved it. And then when he went and did that, I was like, oh, it just canceled it out. I was like, nah.
And Deegan rode by just
Yeah,
laughing,
he was
going, "I just bought a Rolls Royce
laughing.
SUV."
He was laughing. You know he was.
He
You
sure
even
was.
know he was. So
And part of the reason why I do think, here's the thing with these top riders. They're all trying to find an edge, a competitive edge, in whatever it is, whether it's a training system, whether it's a bike setup, whether it's a different gearing, whatever the case may be. And so when we watched that first moto, with Jett being out front, Hunter being out front, and Haiden being in third for the longest time, you watched Haiden start taking some alternative lines. And for me, the biggest thing that I gathered from the line that ended up getting him penalized crazily, which is a whole other conversation, but he took a line at the top of the hill that big downhill where he was gaining a little bit of time on the other guys. I honestly love to see that because
talking about the line where he got penalized from?
Yeah, I love to see that because even though, it ended up being against him, he's going, hey, I'm willing to do whatever I got to do to beat you. And if I got to flirt with a line, if I got to flirt with going on the edge, whatever I got to do, I'm going to do that because I'm that willing to beat you. And some may call it cheating. I don't call it cheating because, there's a case to be made. I mean, Hunter took the line too. Prado took the line too. Prado's a 4-time champ. Hunter's a champ in the 250 class. Almost won the 250 or 450 title. Right. And he's on Jett's tail end. So Hunter's not taking that line if he doesn't think it's going to benefit him or that it could be legal to use. So
I think it was a little blurry when the track markers went down.
And who knows who knocked him over?
Yeah, it's not clear. I mean, you can make the assumption that it was Deegan. We don't know for sure. But I think once those track markers went down, it was a little unclear about whether it was okay. That line was okay up on the top of that hill. But I agree with you saying, champs that have been riding pro motocross for a long time, for them to be doing that line, I mean, if they knew better, they wouldn't do it. So I really don't think it was like, oh, like I'm going to cheat and do this. Like, right. I really don't think that it was intentional in any way. I think it was a very blurry type thing. But there's going to be a lot of people. I just feel like that comment's just going to get a lot of hate. So we're just going to preface that this is just our opinion, okay? We understand that it wasn't okay and that the AMA has ruled that it was cutting the track and he was docked 7 positions. So we don't need to hear that. We don't need any hate comments about our opinion. It's just, we're just talking. We're just having fun. So that's all we're going to say about that. But
even with him cutting the track, I think for me, when it comes to Haiden, he wants every bit of confidence to go run with Jett. None of us race professionally. Most of you have never raced professionally. And so we don't know what it's like to be a champion at that level. But for somebody like Haiden, just the fact that the best rider in the world is right in front of him, and he gets in front of him if he would have, even if he beat him and got discounted on a technicality, what I'm saying about Deegan is that fuels him enough to go, oh, I got him. I'm one step closer. I'm this close to being able to rack a 1-1 on him on any given day. And the moment that happens, whether it comes from one little line, I mean, there was 4 million lines on that track that was rough as all get out. And yeah, he found a smooth line. Yeah, and he shouldn't have taken it because it got him docked. But at the end of the day, every little fraction piece of confidence that you can gain on somebody who's the best in the world, you got to take it. to give yourself the best chance at succeeding. And so Hayden's close. He's nipping at their heels. They can feel him coming, and that's why you heard him in that first moto when he got fourth. I mean, technically he got 11th, but he finished fourth place. You could see him. He was chirping again. Oh, they're watching me. They know I'm there. I'm coming. They know. Like, he was so upset at the fact that he failed a couple times, which he's got to clean that up if he wants to run with Jett, because we've watched Jett at 80% smacking everybody around, and he's only, he's got a bum leg still on a track that was extremely difficult. As we saw, even the second and third best riders in the world, Hunter and Haiden, they both fell both motos. So, I mean, when you're watching something like that, you got to have a lot of respect for the guy that's with a number one plate right now by the name of Jett Lawrence. And man, I'm telling you, this next round is gonna be crazy. I think they've given Deegan just a little bit enough confidence that if he gets a start this weekend, it's game on. And if he ever starts in front of them, it'll be extremely hard for both of them to pass him, mainly because he rides a wide bike, and he's going to be willing to hang it out in areas that they're not, because Hunter's always conservative and Jett's got a bum leg. So they're not going to take unnecessary risks that they don't have to. Yeah. But they're in the danger zone right now. We'll see what Danger Boy Deegan can do. But it was a great race nonetheless, especially that first moto, getting a glimpse of probably the biggest rivalry of all time, besides maybe James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael. They didn't hate each other like Deegan and Jett kind of hate each other, even though Jett won't say his name. Hayden's just ready to go. And mainly that's because Jett and Haiden are younger racing each other than Carmichael and Stewart were by a year or two. And I think that makes a lot of a difference. And I think society and socially it makes a difference too, growing up in 2026 instead of 2006. It's just a completely different story. But yeah, that's a good take. We're gonna see this weekend who puts in the work, who gets it done. I think Jett's biggest issue is that he can only ride once a week. And so that may come into play the hotter these races get. We're not sure, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
So we'll segue into this next moment of the weekend with the Coonan brothers. They came to play. Sasha Coonan was like killing the 250 class. The first moto wasn't that great. Got a bad start, then he went down. That's what happens when you start in the pack. And part of that's because over in Europe, they don't have 40 riders on the gate. They usually have like 20 to 25. There's less space going to the first turn, less space in America going through the first lap or so. But that second moto, he came out and showed them what Belgium was all about and laid it down. And that's scary for the rest of them, because the rest of them can't buy a consistent moto, 2 motos in a row, for nothing. I mean, you got Levi winning, and then you got Levi getting 10th, and then you got Seth Haymaker getting second, leading most of the first moto, then getting 12th, 13th. I mean, the 250 class is just all over the place.
It's all over the place, man.
And then you had Lucas Coonan, who is a lot closer to Jett than I think most people realize in age, obviously, but just in body structure and how they're built and how they ride the motorcycle, they're a lot the same. I mean, they're all from the MXGP. I mean, Jett, Hunter, Lucas, Sasha, Dylan Ferrandis. I mean, they're all from Jorge Prado. They're all from that area of the world, and they all ride a motorcycle a similar way. And it was cool to see Lucas go 2-2 on the day. Hunter fell in that first moto, so he was kind of gifted that second place. But he still kind of caught up to Jett. I know Jett wasn't giving 100% probably at the end of that moto, trying to feel some things out, find a flow. But it was still cool to see somebody come over fresh from Europe who's leading the championship points over there to come over here and give a good showing like that. It was pretty amazing. And then, obviously, second moto, he got a way better start. started up front, and Deegan and Hunter were kind of fighting it out and fighting with each other, and Lucas just stayed consistent on a 2-2 on the day. So it was cool to watch the Belgium brothers, Sasha and Luca Kunin. It was cool to watch the Belgium brothers, Sasha and Lucas Kunin, come over from Europe, and they took some points away from Hunter and Haiden and the 250 class, and it was cool to see. So there were some crazy storylines this past weekend at Thunder Valley, and I think going into this next round, High Point, it's going to be even more so. I think they've given Deegan just a little too much hope, and I think they're going to pay for it a little bit this next weekend. We'll see how the bikes are set up and how they approach each other. But it won't be long before they're all battling the whole moto, and that's where it's going to get interesting. But where I'll give Deegan some credit is this was the first weekend he actually passed a Lawrence brother. He passed Hunter that first moto, and he passed in the second moto, then got passed back. It was kind of funny to watch Hunter do to Deegan what Deegan did to Hunter the weekend before. But hey, this is racing, rubbin's racing, as they say, and I think there's a lot more of that to come. Thank you so much for joining us for the Round 3 review of Thunder Valley. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and tune in next week for High Point Raceway review on the Married Moto Podcast. We pray that you have a great week, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.